1923 Main Street.
Home of everything to do with travel in style. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Bellabraddock.
And I'm Amelia Bellabraddock. And today, the top 5 things to think about when deciding on your travel-worthy hoodie.
Yes, and not just any hoodie. We're talking about graphic hoodies specifically today because, come on, what's a hoodie without a graphic?
Well, chic, but there's lots more you can do with graphics. It's a little bit more dynamic.
Exactly, and that's going to play into some of the thought processes that are going into our discussion today. It's really about comfort versus style. I mean, what makes the ultimate travel hoodie after all? And it's important to consider this because when you're packing for a vacation, it can sometimes be a struggle between what you want to bring and what you need to bring. And there's this endless tug-of-war because you have limited space.
All of it.
But
don't make that decision.
Can't. And, you know, one of the items that actually tends to tip it over the top is your graphic hoodie because they're so big.
Especially if you like the oversized vibe.
Exactly. You're standing in front of this big pile of clothes. You're looking at the clothes. You're looking at your suitcase and you're thinking, am I going to need to sit on this to close it? And what happens if they open it at the checkpoint and I have to close it again in the airport?
Yeah, you know, a tried and true method is really just throwing all of your body weight on top of this suitcase and praying that it shuts.
Yeah, I don't like the hope and pray, especially if you have to redo it in the airport at the security line.
It's worked great for me. I never open it at the airport.
Yeah. You know, whether or not you're on a 2-week European vacation or you're just going to Disney World for a week, you don't want to bring more baggage than is necessary. But the good news is you can have both comfort and style. They don't have to be at odds when you pick a travel hoodie.
Well, there's lots to consider when picking your travel hoodie. And I think you have to only pick one if you're really trying to be space conscious. If you're going into the summer or something especially. There's a lot of different elements that are important to consider.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why a hoodie is a must-have item, first of all. Let's talk about that. You may think, do I need a hoodie?
Well, I always pack multiple hoodies, but I don't think I would ever go somewhere without at least one hoodie. And I'm not even somebody that likes to wear a hoodie every day, so that might be an even more ridiculous statement for me to make. But I think especially on a travel day, what a great item to have.
We call it the Swiss Army knife of your travel wardrobe.
Well, it really is because, first of all, I don't care where I'm going, what time of year it is. On a plane, it's always cold. If I'm trying to sleep, even if it's the middle of the day, it's cold. I want to be warm. I want to have like a sweatshirt or a hoodie on.
It is the original Snuggie blanket or whatever that thing they tried to sell on TV. Those blankets for watching TV. I mean, that's what the hoodie is, especially on a plane.
I always bring one. It's also my neck pillow on select flights.
It can be a pillow. It can be a blanket.
It's a jack of all trades.
And the other good part about all that is hoodies are very low maintenance. They don't need ironing. They don't wrinkle. You don't have any worries traveling with them. So they're always going to look pretty good right out of the suitcase.
They also make me very low maintenance when I'm traveling. You know, I'm just such a breeze to travel with personally. But it's a lot easier because I'm not fiddling with it's a hoodie. I'm not fiddling with anything. There's nothing like falling down, nothing slipping away. It fits.
All right, let's talk about the 5 things we came up with that make a hoodie, a graphic hoodie, a good travel hoodie. 5 reasons. Number 1, you want a hoodie with breathable fabric, right? That's not going to bulk up on you.
Yeah. Well, the fabric's super important because also when you eye hoodies now, it's not just, the regular cotton blend. There's 700 different fabric options to choose from. And you kind of have to, if you own, if you're somebody that does own several hoodies, you might want to consider which one you really want to be bringing on your trip.
You want a nice mid-weight cotton blend. It doesn't trap heat, but will keep you warm at the same time. There's a real sort of, if you want that Swiss Army knife, there's a real middle ground you're trying to find in your hoodie, especially if you're traveling. And those are the kind of hoodies that we always use here. So when you're buying from us, that's what you're going to get. We want to make sure that it feels good from the moment you buy it and all through your journey.
My personal pet peeve are those really polyester hoodies or the hoodies in the sport fabrics. I can't stand those. I don't like them at all. They trap the heat.
Yeah, we do
intensely.
not sell any of those.
A sweat wicking hoodie, it's not a thing that needs to exist.
I agree.
It's not a thing that needs to exist. There's no reason. If you're working out in a hoodie, that's your own problem you need to sort out, in my personal opinion. When I'm packing for a trip hoodie, I think you want to go classic.
Rest assured, when you're shopping here, you won't find any of those.
Yeah, I personally, like, maybe they're for somebody else. They're not for me.
Number
I'm very
two,
content in that.
a fit that works everywhere. Because let's face it, most hoodie wearers have a sort of size they like. No?
Well, it also depends on the shape of the hoodie and honestly the trend at the time. Personally, especially growing up, oversized was the way to go. Everyone I know, everybody loves a good oversized hoodie. It's easy to get. It's easy to wear. You don't really have to think about it. And it's also pretty comfy. If you're going to the airport, you want to be comfortable. You want to be able to lounge around. Tailored is also, a nice idea. It gives a little bit more shape. It can kind of, I don't want to say elevate an outfit, but it just gives it a little bit more of something. So if you think about both of those options, you want your ideal travel hoodie to be somewhere in the middle. Because another thing about traveling is a lot of the times you're probably layering, especially if you are trying to save space and you want to be wearing a lot of your clothes. You might be layering quite a bit. So you want something that has enough room to layer underneath, but still, you want the structure to look intentional, like you've put together an outfit. Like for me personally, I can make an oversized hoodie look cute, but I've got to do something with my hair. I've got to have some makeup. I've got to have some cute jewelry going on at the same time.
Yeah, it's not to say that oversized or tailored, they have their place, but we're talking about traveling now. So what you want to go with is basically oversized, you just buy a size up. We don't sell oversized clothes on purpose because they tend to confuse people who are purchasing. So a typical right size hoodie that we sell are standard hoodie styles that fit all the needs you're going to have. They check all the boxes, so you want that middle ground hoodie.
Well, oversized is such a thing that you can't really just say, an oversized hoodie. It depends on the person and it depends on the body shape, because the main thing that you want to hit with an oversized hoodie is you don't want it to end on the widest section of your body. That's the main thing you don't want to do. So you kind of have to think about, like, is it a men's hoodie? Is it a women's hoodie? Is it unisex? Kind of think about that when you're buying your oversized hoodie as well. Side note.
All right. Number 3 may seem obvious, but people don't always think about it. And that's really where the graphic portion comes in. You want a design that is going to travel well, especially considering wherever you are traveling to. But you don't want to have, you might want to have 20 hoodies, and we would love if you did that. But, you want a design that travels well.
I love having a cheeky little design.
Well, this is where your hoodie earns your style points for you. I mean, there are loud graphics and sort of novelty prints, but are those really the best thing to wear when traveling?
I like a little bit more niche. I love if I see somebody, at the airport or when I'm traveling, and if I have to look at their hoodie and think about it and then have a little laugh at it, that's my favorite thing. I think those are the best kind of hoodies.
Yeah, I agree. And that's really the point here. Design that travels well, that means 3 things. Subtle artwork, just like you said, and that's really what our specialty is. The differentiator for 1923 Main Street is original, subtle style and design in many categories. You also want it to be somewhat neutral and sort of destination inspired in those tones.
Well, something else I would say on that same vein is you got to think about the color and your wardrobe and what you're packing. Make sure whatever hoodie you're bringing is tying into you personally.
That's a very good point. And we offer many colors for that reason.
Yes.
Generally. But the colors also...
Well, everybody has different color schemes they like, just naturally.
And our colors match the design that is on that.
Well, yes.
Or complement it, rather.
Of course.
And speaking of that, timeless design that complements everything else in your bag. I mean, really, that's just what you said. That is a very important thing. The best hoodies feel personal and unique, but still go with everything.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, because it's your hoodie. It's going to be, if it's your one hoodie that you're bringing on vacation, whether you plan to wear it a lot or not, it's going to end up being worn a lot. It's going to end up in a lot of these photos. So you want to make sure that you're happy with what it looks like and you're happy with, the kind of vibe that it's portraying.
And number 4 item that makes a hoodie travel worthy is the kangaroo pocket pouch.
Ooh, yes, very important.
This is a classic. We say it's non-negotiable. Not all hoodies have them, believe it or not.
Hoodies I've seen without a pocket pouch. Why?
Or
get a crew neck at this point. What are you doing
hoodies
here?
Also, right? Because they have to stop because of the zipper.
Okay, well, that's different.
We don't sell zipped hoodies really for that reason. Not fans of them for graphic design purposes.
At least they have something. At least they're trying. The hoodies without the kangaroo pocket pouch. What are you doing?
But no matter your preference for travel, the kangaroo pouch, it's got so many. I mean, you can carry your food in it if you're buying something at a cafe and running back. It's like an extra pair of hands. Put your phone in there. It's got a lot of practical purposes. Even
it's
keeping
just
your
a
hands
nice,
warm.
Quick, hands-free. Even for like a passport or something at the airport. You know, I've liked to strut around in the past with like belt bags when they were the moment, but a nice pocket pouch, it's good in case of emergencies.
And the final number 5 reason is something you alluded to a little bit earlier, durability that you don't have to think about. And those are wrinkle resistant, machine washable, resilient against spills, weather, and whatever else is you're throwing at it, standard quality made hoodies.
Yeah. At the very end of the day, whatever goes wrong on your trip, you want to be able to just throw on your hoodie and call it a day. Just be able to relax. You don't want to have to think about, is my hoodie going to look good? No, it should always look good. It should always be there for you as your piece of clothing. It should be that support in your life. For me personally, I think that's very important to have in a hoodie.
All right, so you've got your hoodie. How do you make it look good with travel outfits? Let's give some scenarios and how would you pair a hoodie with outfits?
Okay, well, this is actually my specialty. And personally, I bring several different hoodies, to accomplish all of these looks. But
that's sort of against what we're talking about, but we'll let that slide.
If you're just going to bring the one, then my main tip would be color coordinate with a lot of these things. And you want to make these outfits dynamic. So the hoodie doesn't necessarily have to be the main attraction in every one of these pieces. It can be a complementary piece to a different look if you're going to make it more versatile. But I digress. Me personally, my favorite way to wear a hoodie is, I talked about this a little bit earlier, the airport look. Personally, I like to go monochrome, usually black. Honestly, like some black sweatpants, a black hoodie. Is it, necessarily like the most sleekest thing in the world? No. But does it feel a little bit more put together, a little bit more of something while being comfortable? Because you are sitting on a plane for several hours. Like, it's not the most comfy thing in the world. So I like to give myself that little bit of zhuzh, a little bit of jazz over here with my hoodie for an airport look. Obviously, main thing, if you're going around a theme park, this is where you want your graphic to shine. This is where you want the attention on whatever the graphic is, whether it's about, a specific attraction or whether it's about a general concept or a joke or something. That's what you got to have here. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it to make it comfortable. I love, a hoodie and jean shorts, or like personally for me, the oversized hoodie and like the spandex bike shorts, I think is very cute. You can pair it with something else. Like you can pair it with a cute pair of sunglasses or headband or ears or whatever, something like that. Find it adorable. Rainy days. I've said this before, and I will say it again. I can't stand ponchos, but I will pop a hoodie on in a rainy day. I don't know why. It just feels less. It feels less ugh. Like a poncho, it feels hotter and sweatier than wearing a hoodie. And I can't explain it, but I feel like it's easier to just pull a hoodie off. And at the end of the day, you feel less gross. And usually the hoodies, especially if you like the cotton ones, they're thick-ish. Like they take a little bit of drips before you actually feel soaked. And even if you do feel soaked, then you can pull it off and you're like, wow, I feel so much better. I feel so much more relaxed. And if you're just out and about, a hoodie always looks cute. With a pair of jeans, a nice little bag, a cute coat on top. If you're around a city or something, you can always dress it up that way. You can have a cute little mini skirt underneath it. There's a lot you can do to make it more dynamic wherever you are.
Many, many years ago.
Oh, was the hoodie and the mini skirt?
No, the hoodie with a jean jacket on top of it.
Oh,
and with the hood coming. That's still a classic to this day.
That's one option.
That's the kind of look you're going to see in The Breakfast Club or those old movies, right, from the 80s.
For sure.
And still looks good today.
Well, whenever that recycles around in fashion, I'll get back to you on that.
All right. So to sum up, the 5 things that make the ultimate travel hoodie: cozy but not bulky, breathable, durable fabric, thoughtful design with style that will last, right? Not necessarily something that's going to be dated in a year. neutral or destination inspired graphics, and fits your vibe, most importantly, and the itinerary for wherever you're going. So bear all those things in mind when you're trying to decide which one hoodie should I bring on this trip.
Or throw it all out the window and bring a ton of different graphic hoodies to suit your mood.
Yes, and then pay for extra luggage. All right, everyone. Thanks.
Or break yours. Great strategy. Highly
Thanks for
recommend.
listening. As always, follow along on social media at 1923 Main Street. Visit the shop at 1923mainstreet.com. We will see you again next week and have a magical day.
Bye-bye.